My esports org tried to steal thousands of dollars from me. Finally got paid for my work from an esports org after almost a year of bullshit. After many emails with lawyers and support on social media pressuring the org, I got paid for the work I did. I worked for them for about 3 years, and towards the end of my journey with them, I got treated like absolute dog shit. My history with the Direwolves Esports is I was a pro player for them since the start of 2017 on early 2018, attending many competitions like the OPL, OCS, and also playing at Worlds for them as a pro League of Legends player. I'm sure a fair few know that, but for the people who don't, that's the backstory. In the start of 2020, I became a part-time player and then full-time social media manager to sponsor interviews, meeting sponsors, a bunch of different things, right? I basically became incredibly entrenched within the Direwolves because the owners of the Direwolves were leaving. And that's what I was doing on a day-to-day basis, as well as standing in front of a camera and talking about League of Legends games. I also did play some League of Legends games for them that year. Then new owners came to the organization. So I'm just going to call them the Dogs. So the Dogs were a group of guys who came in and basically took over complete ownership of the Direwolves. And they brought a bunch of amazing talent, honestly, to help grow the organization. Because at the time, it was basically me and a few other people running the organization. It was really, really low performance, very slow, and it was all League of Legends. When I was with the Direwolves, they used to look like this. This was their logo, and they changed it, looking nice, minimalistic, and fresh going into the start of 2021. I basically lost my position in the organization. I went from full-time meetings with sponsors, videos, coordinating a bunch of programs with the teams and things like that, to just primarily a social media manager. And I went from the top dog to probably one of the bottom dogs. I was okay with that. I was happy with that. And that's probably at the time what I was qualified for. It was all going smoothly and I was making videos and things like that. But then I started creating my own content and I started my own YouTube channel. And this is where problems started with me and the CEO of the company. And for the sake of it, I'm just going to call him Jacob. Him and I didn't get along. He was a guy who plays WoW a lot. And on the first day that I met him, he introduced himself as the master of the nerdy dark arts. That's right. I'm not even trying to make fun of the guy. That's just how it was. So yeah, this guy was a bit of a character. So as I started developing my content a little bit more, I was really inspired by a couple YouTubers that were a little bit more edgy. You know, the misfits, Australian YouTubers. I made a video once that was similar to their styles, and it was me cracking pretty out-of-pocket jokes. One of the jokes was like fist fighting a grandmother or something. The master of the nerdy dark arts really didn't like that one. So I got a message one day from one of the editors that I worked with, and he said, "Hey, you are in a lot of trouble. You are going to potentially get fired." And I was like, "What did I do?" And he's like, "The master of the nerdy dark arts, Jacob, he does not like your video one bit." And I was like, you know, he could just talk to me. You know, he could just say he didn't like it. Jacob wasn't having any of it. Jacob was very, very frustrated. And he took this as a personal attack. Because at the time, I was the face of the organization. I was in all the social media. I was on all the posts. And he was looking for any single reason to fire me. I think he just didn't like me. And one of the editors is actually living with him at the time. And he says, "Please just take down your video. I'm going to talk him. I'm going to try save your job." A few days pass, nothing. No conversations whatsoever. I continue my work as usual. A meeting comes around and we all have a meeting every single week. Me, the editor, the master of the nerdy dark arts, and his little like gremlins, like his second in commands. We all have a meeting and nothing is said. He doesn't at me. He doesn't talk to me. He doesn't address it. It's just us sitting in a Microsoft Teams call and we're just chatting and talking about the progress. For the next 2 months, it kind of sailed like that. Nothing was ever said, nothing was addressed, but there was always this animosity between myself and the owner of the company. Then started to come the Newbies. And the Newbies were a bunch of bright-eyed kids coming out of high school, I'd say 18, some of them were 19. They came in, picking up a few social media jobs. And I was instructed to start training up these newbies. And my first private conversation with the master of the nerdy dark arts, after these 2 months of turmoil and not knowing if he hates me or not, he just messaged me and he said, hey, I want you to create a folder of the passwords for all the social medias, hand it over to me, and change all the passwords. And I was like, okay, here we go. This is what's happening. I am changing the passwords, I'm handing them over, and then I am going to lose entire control and lose my job. But that didn't happen. 2 months rolled on again. October 2020, I had been working with a bunch of new social media guys. We'll say Alex and Jess. Alex and Jess had been working with me really close. They were doing a great job. Then I had a private conversation with them and I said, hey, you guys have been putting in a ton of work. How much are you getting paid? And then they proceeded to tell me that they were getting paid the double digits of money per week. So they were not even making $100 for something that I was also doing, but I was getting at least minimum wage, 40 grand a year, doing what they were getting paid 50 bucks a couple weeks for. Eventually, we have a full-on meeting. The master himself gave a speech. He prepared a slide and a speech, and he talked about respect and how to represent the organization. And the entire time, he was talking about respect and how we should treat each other and what it really means to be part of the pack. I could feel his eyes burning into the back of my skull. And after that conversation about respect, I knew it was downhill from here. 2 weeks later, he messages me. He say, hey man, can I have a chat with you? Okay, yeah, sure. The call comes around. I pick up. Jacob, how you going, man? Completely faking being respectful and nice, but I knew this guy hated me, so just put on my happy face and pretend like nothing's wrong. He says, Toby, listen, so we're actually downsizing going into 2021. You're gonna finish up with us in February. Listen, we love having you here. We love having you on as part of the organization. You're fantastic and you have such a bright future, but we're not willing to pay you any money, even though they weren't paying me anyways. So I was like, okay, sure. That's fine. I'm happy to finish up in February. They gave me a month notice. That's pretty nice. And at the time, I had already had outstanding invoices all the way back from the start of December and I think early November. And I was finishing in February and I still hadn't get paid. But to be fair, all of the payments were never dealt with on time anyways. They were always 2 weeks late, always a month late, always 2 months late. I didn't have any issues with it. I thought it was normal that I hadn't been paid 3 months of my payment because I basically got gaslit into thinking it was normal. So I leave the organization and I don't get paid after I leave. So here is an email myself to the masters of Direwolves that I need to get paid from. So basically I said, would you be able to update me on the status of my invoices? This was February 19th. First line, they don't address what I asked for. They just said, hey, give our things back, basically. So I said, sure, just waiting on a date to give your things back, which one included is the Direwolves Discord, which I had ownership of. Just to give you guys context, they thought I wanted ownership of this Discord. I don't need any of their stuff. I just wanted to get paid for the money that I was owed, right? This is February 22. I messaged the appropriate people via Discord and emails. There is no response. I try and give things back to them. No one speaks to me. 3.5 weeks later, I said, just reminding you, all my invoices are overdue. I then proceed to email them another 2 weeks later. I'm struggling to pay my rent fees. I need this invoices paid for. They're all overdue. I said rent fees here. This is actually, I actually had to pay for flights because I don't pay rent. I live with my parents, but I just said rent. I said an entire month later, can I please have an update on the process of my invoices? I'm genuinely struggling and the outstanding amount is a lot of money for me. So I'll be upfront with you guys. They owed me over $9,000. And for someone who's worked in esports, that is a large majority of the amount of money ever earned in my entire career. It was pretty rough for me. Then I got no responses from them, so I sent an incredibly formal email. Hey, so apparently you guys had an issue with one of my invoices. Could you pay the other two? That would be awesome. They never responded to this email, and they didn't respond to this email for approximately 3 months. Now, I state in this email saying that I didn't get paid, that they had an issue with one of my invoices. So in an email prior, one of the ones I showed before, I didn't read it. Basically, they said, hey, we have an issue with one of your invoices because we think you didn't work the hours that you invoiced. Now we're at April. So this is now a total of 6 months, or maybe, no, 5 months of my first invoice that hadn't been paid. At this time, I was now traveling to Iceland. This year, I went to Iceland for MSI, which is a big international competition with an org called Pentanet. Before I left to Iceland, I called investors of Direwolves and I said, hey guys, you know, it's pretty cool. I'm going to Iceland with Pentanet. Also, fun fact, I haven't been paid by the owner of Direwolves right now. So these investors were the people I used to work with before the dogs came in. And I was actually really close friends with them, but they're a lot older. They're older business people. And they said, yeah, sure. Once you get back from Iceland, we will make sure this is sorted out for you, Toby. I'm so sorry. And I went to Iceland, and that took about 2 months of my time. But over the period of me being in Iceland, I kind of got a little bit, let's say, arrogant. So I started sending messages on Twitter to the owner to get his attention because he hadn't messaged me. He hadn't responded to me at all. So I said, hey, blank, could you give me an update on my emails? I want to work with you guys on this. Cheers, Toby. So I said, hey, could you please respond to my emails now? And at this point, I had gotten really frustrated. I kept asking, could you respond to my emails? Blah, blah, blah. Could you help me out? And I was getting no response. So I knew that he liked WoW. So then I followed up with a message saying, thoughts on people who argue that N'Zoth should not be a warlock? Because it doesn't make sense. Doesn't use fell magic. He whispers into people's minds. And then he didn't respond to me again. So then I followed up with, okay, but seriously, this is keeping me up at night. Do you have any thoughts? Because I was really keen to get the WoW lore going, obviously. Thoughts on the surge in Dogecoin recently? You know, maybe he was a crypto guy. Thought maybe I could get some insight from him. And then I hit him with the banger, the bomb, another WoW one. The Castles of antiquity built a ring fort on the peak, and as millennia have passed, okay, now that you're listening, did you ever figure out the Lil N'Zoth thing I sent you? No fucking idea what any of that means. I literally have no idea, but thank you for the person who wrote that. And then this is the final text message I sent to him. I said, dude, crazy thing just happened. Hear me out. You decided to pay me for my outstanding invoices. Never mind, I was just dreaming. I'm not gonna lie. This was about 6 months of outstanding payments. I'm joking about this now, but I was quite literally sitting in my, like, I would go and I would sit and I would just be so miserable about this. Like, I was quite literally depressed. I was with this organization longer than this guy was. I was with the org for 3 fucking years. Okay? I treated them literally like they were family. I fucking loved being a part of this org, even though a lot of shitty things did happen throughout my career, especially before they came. It wasn't amazing, but I got treated like piss. And then to follow it up with, the final message I ever sent him in Twitter DMs was me pog champing. Oh, by the way, seen all of these. Do you know anybody else who actually had a similar situation to you around the same time or event? I'm going to estimate 7 people from within the organization messaged me about this. After getting back from MSI, I had reached out to a bunch of the private investors of the organization and previous owners. It was bad. It was so bad because the thing is, I was friends with these people. I was friends with these investors. Some of these investors had kids. I had fucking hung out with their kids and had dinner with their family. Okay? That is how close I was with some of these people. And I was going to them and asking, hey, can you help me make money? This is, yeah, the slide I call all bark, no bite. Basically, the master, he sent me an email saying, hey, here is the hours you invoiced over 3 months. Here are my invoices here that he said were fine. And this is the ones that he said were not fine. He had 7 months to play with my invoices. He decided, fuck it, I'm going to go for the whole bag. And I am going to say that he did not work these hours. If you look at these numbers, you'll see a trend. They are just fucking random. I'm almost certain this guy fucking closed his eyes on a number pad and just went boom, 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 boom. This is how many hours you work. The reason I say that is because pulling your logs from Office 365 and Loomly. So if you guys haven't ever seen any of these, basically Office 365 and Loomly and Teams and things like that are all ways that we would upload content, upload things through social media and stuff. But the thing is, I didn't use these things for half of the work I did, right? He's basically saying, hey, we weren't able to track the work you did, but it's also never stipulated anywhere that you had to do that. And you never really did this, and it was never the expectation. So this was the last week of me handing over all social medias, all control to the new guys. And he said I worked 3 hours. Bro, I worked the most fucked hours in this last week because I was handing over accounts. I was teaching people how to post. I was introducing people to other people. I worked my fucking butt off this week, and he says I worked 3 hours. It was disgusting. So I straight up didn't respond, and what I did was I started filing in small claims court. I've been documenting this for a long time. I want you guys to look at my face. I even look younger here. This is a video of me going onto small claim court and starting my progress into getting my money. I have a lot of rambling videos, so this is another video. It's well over 4 months that my last invoice was, you know, paid. This is just me, but like, this is genuine. This is just genuine me like losing it. Because I didn't respond to them, now there is a gap. So then there's a little bit of a gap, and then this happened. On August 29th, a friend and previous Direwolves member tweeted, contract with Direwolves has ended. And then Mao, our good friend in the chat, hoping they actually pay you the rest of your money, unlike what they did for udysof. Simply put, this is where the start of social media happened. Because I really didn't want to take this to social media. I really liked the Direwolves. I genuinely enjoyed them. I genuinely liked them. It just went that far to the point where I was bitching to Mao about this so often that I was putting it into Mao's head that he was now tweeting on behalf of me. So this guy, his name is Sterling. He was a CS player for the Direwolves. And this article basically, there was an article on Twitter saying that Direwolves released the team. But Sterling was upset about it, and he said, just to be clear, Direwolves didn't drop us. We chose to not accept their offer. It's amazing how this was spinned. And by the way, we're still waiting on the last 3 months of payments. So Mao responds, yo, Direwolves, you owe udysof around 7 grand. I'd start paying your staff/players before you get in legal trouble. And then came this email. A little bit of backstory. This is an email from me detailing everything. I put my heart out there and I said, hey, I've been starting to go to small claims, taking legal action, blah, 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 because to be honest, the email you sent me saying I only worked 90% of the hours that I actually did is ridiculous. And I think it's bullshit. And I summed that up in a very nice, eloquent email. And the reason this email was prompted was because from Mao tweeting this, I actually got a call from, let's say, an angel. Now, this angel is a guy who works in one of the esports leagues in Australia. I don't know this for a fact, but I think this guy had some kind of ties to the Direwolves, and he really saw this social media fiasco from Mao's tweets getting blown out of the water. And he said, hey, send an email asking for your money. I want to help you out. I want to make sure you get this settled. Then the next day, why not tweets? I wish you'd pay back your players, because the Direwolves tweeted, pay back the favor. I then replied, 10th of August is my birthday, Lumfao, because they tweeted it on the 10th of August. And then Mao says, you ain't getting paid, Toby, give up. And then they send me an email that I've blurred out because there's so many details. But basically they sent me a 3K fucking offer. And then they were like, oh, we'll also give you a 3K bonus for your hard work. In the email, it quite literally stipulates that we are not paying you because we believe you worked the hours. We are going to pay you a 3K bonus because of how much you've done for the organization. And I was like, fuck no. Now that they've started getting heat on social media, they literally got on their knees and they're like, 3K bonus. That's still $3,000 less than the money they owe me. This is the one that really set it in motion. Good afternoon at Direwolves. I believe my good friend udysof is still owed a lot of money from you. I suggest possibly selling an LG TV. They're not sponsored by them anyway. Lol, 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 lol. His wages he worked for. Thanks, Mao. Hashtag verified tab Nodi. Also, this tweet was liked by somebody called Lachlan. He is one of the world's biggest Fortnite creators. One of the biggest Australian creators in the fucking world. He liked this tweet. Within a few hours of him liking that tweet, I got another call from the Angel saying, hey man, listen, we can get this sorted. Haha, I'm sure you can get this amount of money sorted. It's been so long. Let's help you out. I think if you send a really nice email, you will get paid. I have a feeling, because you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go and speak to the owner of the Direwolves on your behalf. And then I felt so good. When he said really nice email, because I was so heated at the time, I actually got mad at him. I was like, no way I'm sending this guy a nice email. Like, this guy has ignored me for 8 months, and now you want me to send him a nice email? And I literally went off. After sending them a nice email back and forth, this is almost exactly 12 months. It is about 10 to 11 months since my first overdue invoice. We're almost a year later. We get an email, and the email says, we have agreed to acquiesce and pay your invoices as generated. Please see this as a thanks for the hard work you did during the transition period of the organization, and a mea culpa on our part for the lengthy review period, because it took them so long to read my 3 fucking emails. It was fantastic. And then a week later, I sent him another one and I said, yo, please update me on this payments. And then after sending 2 emails, he then said, hey, it's a week late, but we paid you. Woohoo! They couldn't even pay me on time for this one. And as they close it off, thank you for your patience.